Today on the podcast, we have a fascinating guest who is revolutionizing the way business is done in the paper industry. Riccardo Grabau is the founder and managing director of Serkios, the first business to business marketplace for the paper industry, providing an end to end solution for buying, selling, and moving paper while optimizing cash flow for businesses. Coming from a lineage deeply rooted in the paper industry, his grandfather started a paper factory and his father established a paper distribution company. Ricardo is carrying forward this legacy by digitalizing and modernizing the sector. Alongside running Serkios, he is also the general manager of Serchio Distribuzione, ensuring the company's long-standing heritage thrives in a fast-changing market. Beyond his leadership in business, Ricardo is passionate about entrepreneurship and mentorship. He's an MBA graduate from IE Business School and actively mentors aspiring founders at IE Startup Lab and Ventures Lab, helping innovators turn their ideas into successful ventures. His career has spanned diverse industries, from e-commerce and marketplaces to fashion and outdoor gear, having worked with companies like Velasca, the iconic Zalora, and Trace TV. His global experience from Milan to Madrid, Kuala Lumpur to Sydney has shaped his unique perspective on business, strategy, and innovation. In today's episodes, we'll dive into Ricardo joins the challenges of digitalizing a traditional industry and his insights on building successful marketplaces. Be very welcome, Ricardo, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much, Nay. Great introduction. I hope I can keep it up with all these amazing words. So thank you very much.
And this leads me to the first question. What moment in your life defined who you are today?
I really thought about this question all over my life in the sense that there's been many moments which has been defining moments in one way or another. But I think the one that really signed who I am today, it's the decision post high school on what to do. In the sense that my father had this company, but my mother was an interior designer. So I always been attracted to architecture and design, etc., etc. And the reason why I think is a defining moment is because I was supposed to do architecture in university. My mother said to me, if you're not fully sure about architecture, I think you should choose something more broad, which could be law, could be business, it could be something else. But architecture is very specific. So unless you're very into it, I would recommend to do economics and business. So it turns out that I decided to then join graduate school in business. And since then, I think everything changed in the sense that I was shaped in a way that entrepreneurship came into place. And yeah, I think also business in general was very centered in university. And yeah, so that's how I think that everything started with this decision.
Understood. As you mentioned very early during the high school, you was already thinking about those things and what you would do for at least the biggest part of your life, because we pretty much work a lot and we do this for our whole life and career. In this case, you think that your mother or maybe your father was, the person who influenced you the most.
I think they have been very present parents in a very good way in the sense that really they really shaped who I am today and what I think and how I do things in general. Um, and at that time, I think they really played an important role in deciding what to do. Then once I get into the university, sorry, the main the person that really shaped my career then was my uncle because he really helped me understanding the broader perspective of business and helping me understanding about startups, scale ups, venture capital. And I think he was really the one that shaped my career further. So like my parents shaped, I would say, the pre-university time. And once I joined university, my uncle, I would say, took over that responsibility in a way, so that he basically helped me along the way because it was 3 years. And in Italy, university is quite intense in the sense that you need to learn many things by heart, broadening from like law to mathematics to finance to marketing. So coming from a normal high school, I think it was kind of very intense compared to other universities in maybe in Europe where everything is written. Most of the things are like group projects, personal projects, so it's much more interactive and maybe more, I would say, light in that sense.
I have another question that is way different than anything else. So I would call this a hot potato question, and I'm gonna drop in your hands now. What are your thoughts on faith and spirituality?
That's a very deep question, and I think my faith and spirituality changed over time, and I think everyone, maybe everyone, not everyone, but I think when you grow up, you really try to figure out what it is, which part it plays in your life, and what I think about faith is like it really shapes your beliefs, and by shaping your beliefs is also shaping the way you act. So it's a cycle of what you believe, what you do, and who you are. So it really starts all from your beliefs, no matter where they come from, in the sense that it doesn't really matter what what religion you're following or which type of beliefs do you have, but changing your beliefs, I think, really changes who you are. So it all starts there. And in terms of spirituality, I've always been attracted to like all the religions, and most specifically also the Asian religions, where like everything seems to be less attached about what you have, and more attached about yourself, more attached about like how you feel things now, like you can change your perspective by changing who you are. Been into this type of thought, and I also do a lot of meditation. And most of the days I try to do every day, but it's very hard. But I try to do maybe every 2 days or something.
Understood. And you have the opportunity to maybe travel or maybe stay a couple of weeks or maybe even months in any country in Asia.
I've been in the past. I had the privilege of traveling a lot in Southeast Asia, especially when I was working in Malaysia. Then also when I was working in Australia, I was very close to many other Asian countries. My dream is to go to Japan, which is something that I've been trying for, I would say, 15 years, but never really successfully did it, in the sense that I tried to go in 2020. I booked the tickets; it was super cheap, and then of course COVID happened, so everything stopped, and it's been, I would say, 5 years still since then that I tried to go there again, but many things happen, like job wise, the MBA, now the startup. So I hope in the future I will be able to see it.
All right, this is very interesting. And also, you bring up something that did help a lot of people, including myself, to reflect more about life and things, and that was COVID. Can you share a bit with us how was your experience during that time? If I'm not mistaken, was pretty much beginning of 2020 when we have the breakout.
It was a very weird situation. I mean, for everyone, but it really all comes up on who you were doing this experience with. And in my specific case, I don't know if you know, but in Italy, it was one of the first, if not the first country hit by the COVID in Europe, and specifically the north of Italy, where I was living at the time. And what happened basically, it was that they shut down the city. I think it was the last week of January. So I came back to Rome, where my parents were living, and also my girlfriend at the time was living. And after 1 week, where I thought like everything will continue to be closed, to save human lives, their city of Milan decided to open up again, saying like nothing has to stop. We need to believe in that nothing will happen to us and all of these things. Then turns out that of course it was wrong. It was a wrong call. So I had to come back the weekend following. I came to Rome, and then after 1 week, I had to come back to Milan again. And then after that time, they shut down the entire city. For the safety of my parents, I decided to stay there for 2 weeks, which was the incubation time, hoping that after that 2 weeks I would not have anything so I can come back. The problem was like after 2 weeks they shut down the entire country, so I had to stay there for precisely 3 months. I was living with my two roommates, which were not there at the time. They were traveling, and then they basically came back directly to their own countries. So I had to spend 3 months in this house, very big house, alone, and it was kind of weird because you really feel like that movie with Tom Hanks and in the island Castaway, and I didn't have a ball. Pretty much, it was maybe what was happening to me that was very similar. After I think 2 months, I was completely, I don't know, out of this world. Basically, what happened is like after 3 months, I came back to Rome, and hopefully from there everything started to be a bit more open. The cases of COVID was going down, and I did my vaccines, and everybody did their vaccines. So I think after that, we were back together, normal life after 1 year or something.
Understood. I would say was a game changer in that time, right? Because
Yeah.
we had a lot of people that they are customer facing. So unfortunately, those position was closed, and also we didn't know when things was going to back to normal. And on the other hand, we have the digital products and other things that was having a very big stimulus because now people couldn't just go outside and they need to rely in other services that was pretty much contactless. Also, we start to think more about life and all of the things that we are missing every day while we are spending our time busy on things and building something and working. And this was part of your reflection as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, compared to my friends that maybe in that time were more far away from their families than I did, in the sense that I was in Milan, so every 2 weeks or 3 weeks I was coming back to Rome to visit them and to also visit my girlfriend at the time. What happened is that I think we all kind of slow down in a sense, and by slowing down, you definitely start thinking more about what do you like to do. So in my case, it was not necessarily about being spending more time with my family because I already was doing that at the time, but it was more about what do I really like to do, and you start looking at your job and you start maybe seeing things that you want to change, and I think that was the beginning of what led me then to do the MBA and to then pursue an entrepreneurship career. Even though I had adventure before, which was my clothing brand that you mentioned before. I think that what really changed is like, okay, what do I like to do? What do I love to do? And what do I will commit myself to it, even if this type of events happened. I think it was the seed that led me to other things happening there after that in my life.
Very good. Thanks for sharing. If not this, what is the most challenging part of your day-to-day life?
My day-to-day life, I think, changed so much over the last 3 years. I don't even remember what day-to-day life looks like, in the sense that when you were an employee, even though it was a very fast-pacing startup, very dynamic, at the end of the day, you're doing one main thing. Like you can diversify with 2 or 3 projects, but at the end, you're in charge of one responsibility. When you're doing the MBA, the things change because basically you have, I don't know, 15 or 16 different courses, and you need to learn a bit of everything. And you also need to put that into practice quite fast because you get, I don't know, exams or projects or whatever it is. And then when you become an entrepreneur, it's like MBA times 100 because like you need to take care of everything from day one, um, and then hopefully soon delegate that to someone else. Like you need to define all the actions to do, and then basically also delegate that to someone else eventually in the future. So I think it's very different. I experience very different things in my day to day life, but I would say that now the main the hardest thing to do is how to focus on the most important things. So how to define the most important things, work on that, and then also when you have some quote unquote free time, start to think about who can work with you. So you need to interview new candidates, you need to pitch them the idea, you need to start eventually talking to investors, having meeting with them. So what I would say is very busy, and some people says that it's a lot of work, and it's true. But what if you really want to do entrepreneurship, that it just feels right. It just feels that it's the right thing to do, and even if the days of working it's like 13 hours, 12 hours, and you're working over the weekends and you're just thinking about work, I think at the end, if it's what you want to do, it just feels right. You just feel aligned to the project and aligned to what you want to become.
Wonderful. I like very much to hear what you said because you are putting clear that is a lot of commitment that is necessary. You are also sacrificing yourself in many ways, and you are also very stretched because again, there are not only roles but also functions that you may not have someone yet in order to do that. And as you said, is where the MBA comes 100% because you will be the one doing that. You are
Hmm.
going to be the one, even not as a specialist, but the person who is going to drive that initiative, at least in the beginning. This is more about social media, right? People just making fun and going to a easy direction and saying, wow, I just made this or that like this. And it doesn't work like that, right?
What I can tell you is, like, previously you mentioned about like being stressed and sacrificing yourself a lot. I think it's true on paper, in the sense that you're technically stressed and you're technically sacrificing things. Again, it doesn't feel like it. It just feels like the right thing to do. And even though there's nice programs that you can join with your friends and family and girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, I think you're so focused into this thing. And I think that's the secret, the secret to go on so long about this type of ventures is the desire to do what you want to do, and to prove both to yourself and to the market and to other people that you're capable of doing it. And I think the only way is to really be super focused. Like, try to not overwork, in a sense that that will lead you definitely to a very quick burnout. So you definitely need to have a kind of a balanced life where you eat healthy, you sleep as much as you can, in the sense that, of course, when you have a startup, you maybe think about your startup most of the time, especially when you're sleeping, and then do some workout to fuel your machine, because at the end, you're the machine behind it. So if you don't work, the entire ecosystem that you're building will not work. So it's very important to, yes, focus completely and devotedly to the project, but at the same time, I think it's very important to sometimes slow down, like in Formula One. Like in Formula One, they go so fast, and everything they care about it's how fast they go, but they still take time to slow down, take a break, and then start over again.
Very good, very good. Thanks for that. What is the key to a fulfilling life?
I think this question is very different for everyone. Is also based on your past experiences, and from that, the expectation of the future. From my perspective, the time that I felt more fulfilled were the time where I was productive. Whether it was on my work, with my parents, with my girlfriend, with my friends, is always about like trying to live. I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but try to live to the fullest, in the sense that you really need to try to engage and act on whatever you're doing.
Understood. And the way that you express yourself reminds me quite a lot Carpe Diem.
Yeah, it's a very famous quote. A very famous saying, especially here in Rome. Like, I think we always kind of sometimes live in autopilot without really thinking about how lucky you are that you wake up every day, and then you're healthy and you have friends and you have things that you can focus on. and then you basically narrow it down constantly to the thing that don't work, because it's the only thing that you have in the frontal cortex. It's what you see. Like, what you see, it's what's missing, but what you already have is behind your back, which sometimes you always need to step behind you and see what you already have, to then again go back, to go forward and see what's missing. I think it's important, this balance, definitely. Like, never settle, in the sense that you should never feel that you've been doing enough, I think, but at the same time you should feel that you have enough. And I think this balance between these two things will lead you to a very happy life.
And Ricardo, how do you define leadership, and what makes a good leader?
I mean, when I did the MBA, you study that there is, I mean, I didn't know at the time, but you study that there's many different leaders, many different types of leaders. When you think about a leader, you maybe go back to, I don't know, ancient Rome and general of the military, and the way they were leading people, which basically was by encouraging them to take action, and being in the frontier, being the first one doing that, and try to lead the way. I think there's a partial truth in that, which is to definitely be the one forward that can actually show the path. But at the same time, as a leader, you should listen to whoever is working with you, and also adjust based on what their feelings. Because I think, even if you're the greatest visionary in the world, I think you still need other people's opinion to drive you forward in your thoughts. For me, it's a combination of courage, vision, but most importantly, empathy. You should always put yourself in the shoes of who is going to watch and who's going to feel whatever you're trying to create.
I see. You brought a lot of very important things for us to talk about it. You mentioned right now about lead by example. You mentioned as well to have courage, vision, and all of this that we are doing, that we are building together, is based in a team game. You just can't
Mhm.
do it alone. And in
Yeah.
the other hand, we have now a new industrial revolution where we are starting to have AI agents and things like that. Do you think this somehow affect the team?
Uh, I mean, it's a transition that we're still experiencing. I mean, I don't think it actually started yet, to be honest. I think we're just very excited about what could this lead to, but I don't think it actually started. I'm a bit afraid that capitalism will take over everything, and basically cut down all the jobs that are like could be available to human beings, that they're constantly saying that no, they're going to create new jobs, but the reality is like AI does so many things so much better already than us, that sometimes questioning what we can do in that sense. But talking about more from an optimistic standpoint, I think it will definitely for sure remove all the boring jobs, and all the jobs that they are considered by everyone, especially the people who are doing it, that are very boring. Like, I don't know, very deep analysis, maybe on Excel. It will just run the numbers for you, and then you just have to check them, so that you can focus more on the relationship, let's say, with the client, with your customer base, with suppliers or whatever. Same thing in the industry, I don't know, automotive industry, etc., etc. But I definitely think that you will eventually integrate AI into your systems. And I think the job that will be removed at first will be the one that were not particularly necessary in the first place. So I really think that we're trying to be productive, we're trying to be efficient, and I think these two things will definitely lead to evolution. So I think it's a good thing overall. I'm just questioning how it's going to happen, how fast it's going to happen, and for which reason it's going to happen. If it's just for the money, if it's just for the stock price of gigantic companies, or if it's actually for the good for the humanity, you know.
Understand. There are really, as you said, there's a lot of unknowns, and unfortunately, we only can wait and to see how does unfold.
Yeah. So let's see. I think we're just at the beginning. So let's see at the end of the year how it's going to turn out. But this AI agent, to be honest, they're very exciting for me. You know, as an entrepreneur, I think he helps you doing many tasks that will be very repetitive, and eventually you can mistake things. You know, like when you I'm developing an AI agent that is able to do inbound and outbound, and so call people and explain the platform both to who already sign up and to those who haven't signed up. And it's amazing because basically you train this model, you train it to answer to every single question that a potential client or supplier may have, and he's going to learn from the interaction and he's going to improve, always always being very very polite, very very nice, very very empathetic, extremely precise when it comes to like, oh, you have a question, I'll send you an email. You want a meeting, I'll send you a video call, etc etc. So, and he can do this thing like he can call 30 phone numbers at the same time. You know, it's amazing. It's so, and I think there's salespeople that love to do this, but I think most of the time it's hard, it's time consuming. So if someone can kind of filter what you want to achieve so that you can achieve it faster, I think it's a good thing.
Understood. And when you are mentioned about not only the unbound but also the outbound, is more about the cold calls, right? That it also take time from your staff to do. And on the other hand, also if the person have questions, it can just spend as much time as needed to get to know everything and clarify everything, right?
Yeah, the thing about cold calling is I think it's very important to do the cold calling by yourself. And that's what I thought before starting this AI agent. The thing that I discovered by doing cold calls is you have a phone call of a company, and most of the time you're reaching out, and the person that you're talking to on the other side, it's not the one that you want to talk to about your platform. Maybe it's a secretary, maybe it's someone working in the machinery, maybe it's someone working in the transportation. So you always need to go a step further and try to talk to the person that you're actually interested to talk. And most of the time, that person is not available. He will come back after 2 days, after 3 days. Maybe you need to answer him. So I think you need to be very close to every single customer that you're reaching out. And to be very close, you contact him one day, then after 2 days, then after 5 days, then you send an email. Then basically impossible if you want to target many customers at a time, especially when you're developing a marketplace. Velocity, it's everything. So you need to try to build something that goes fast in an industry that it's not that fast, I must say. You try to create momentum for yourself, for the company, for the industry, for the marketplace, and for the all the logics. And I think AI can really boost that in that sense.
I understand what you say, and it comes also with other things, as we mentioned in the talk, like it can do it in parallel. It can make as many calls or as many follow-ups as needed. And as you mentioned, there's a clear process and a clear follow-up by each step, which can be followed as well. And of course, save time from your staff to do other activities that are more important.
The ideal scenario of this AI agent is like you reach out, and then eventually, if they don't know about what we're talking about, they can send them an email. If they're interested, they can pitch the idea, and if they're interested and want to talk to someone, then they can talk with me. I wish that every single person it calls, it will be the one talking to me. But most of the time, maybe they want to talk to me, but it will happen after 2 days or 3 days, 5 days. And in the meantime, I don't have to call. Just in Italy, I have a list of 600 companies. You know what it means to call 600 people. It's just, even if you're very fast, if you're talking to someone, you want to give him as much time as he needs, you know, like so if you have questions, you want to make him feel listened and all of these things. So I think it's very important to do a preliminary job of One, understanding if the phone number is the right one because maybe they changed phone number. The second one is to maybe gather more information about the company. Maybe they were doing, for example, paper, and now they're doing plastic. So it's good to know without calling them that they have this thing. And once all the criteria are met, so like they're interested in paper, they're interested in the product, they're interested in the marketplace, they're interested in subscribing, then they can talk to me. And I think this improves so much my work schedule, and everybody, like if I, even if I hire someone, which I hope I will do very soon, they can do other things, like they can really take care of the relationship. They can send personalized email and talking to them about the platform. So I don't think AI can replace everything. You can replace a few things, accelerate your process, but then when it comes to the relationship, you need to necessarily to build it. And I really see it when I talk to a chatbot, in the customer service. If I talk to a chatbot and talk to a human person, yeah, I can do the chatbot to filter what is my problem, maybe 2 or 3 digits, digit one, digit four, digit five. But then you want to talk to someone because you have a customized request, even though it's a standard request, it's still a customized request. So I think all the preliminary work, it's very useful. So now most of the customer service use this type of things for their things, but I think it will also be applied to sales.
I heard some time ago, and in that time we was not, into the area that we are now. However, I heard from a person, a very, very good and specialized one. This person mentioned that the previous industrial revolution, which we still are in it, is related to the mass production. And now, or after the mass production, it comes another revolution that we already knew, was called the mass personalization. However, we didn't know the tools we was going to unfold or figure out or even develop to get that. And it seems that we are going exactly into this direction. We are going to the mass personalization, however, using the tools as we see like AIs. I understand, as you mentioned, that you can have the chatbot exactly to categorize and also to narrow down, right, the problem. Usually we ask for the human because we understand the human have the capability to drive through the process and understand where you are and sort that out and also get something done. The chatbot is pretty much just to understand where you stand and bring you a standard answer.
I call them the AI fanatics because they are the one that thinks that everything will be AI, basically like in the Matrix, in the Matrix. I don't know if you saw the movie, like where basically we will become the AI of AI, that they're gonna use us to fuel them. And again, I don't like, at the end of the day, even though AI has loads and loads of data about you and is still learning about you, and it's, you're a human being. So as a human being, you're completely unpredictable. Like maybe you've been interested in something for 20 years, and then one day you just wake up and you're interested in completely the opposite. So like, this thing, you can only understand it if you're a human being. Even if you're a machine, and there's many people that looks like machines, they always do the same thing for the entire life, and then they just go to another place. But I really think that the unpredictability of things, and I can see that with my ads sometimes, like maybe I've been into a single sport and they advise me that, but I've been thinking about another one. I don't know for how long, and of course they will never know because that's my thought, and that's. But maybe if you're someone that you talk to quite often, and you start thinking like, talk to a friend or to whatever, to a colleague, and I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that. That type of conversation is leaded in a different way than with the machine, and I'm not as tech to understand how the AI will be, but I think it's very hard to get the details, to get really the details about how we interact and how we think, because we don't think rationally. If we all think rationally about things, there will be no wars, there will be no global warming, there will be no many things. So I don't think we think rationally, and that's the reason why a very rational machine, the most intelligent and rational machine, will never predict how we behave. It's a hard topic.
Yes, it is, and it's a very interesting one. So let's see how this unfold. And how do you measure success in your job? And do you feel successful, Ricardo?
Most of the people think success as a long-term metric. Like they think about success as something that you want to achieve in the long term. Like, I want to be successful because I want to have this amount of money and this car and this house and this type of lifestyle, etc., etc. I think success is in the details. It's in every day. It's about what you do every day. It's about if you actually being productive, if you actually feel fulfilled about your single day. To me, that's success. So I grow, if you want, during the day. If I learn something new, and if I do, I don't know, a trade, and it's happening every single second of the day. That's where I feel successful, when I feel that I'm growing. And that growth, you see the results over time, but you feel them every day. So, like, you can really think, like, I think you can really feel, sorry, can really feel if you're growing even without the results. And that, I think, is a very important thing to say, because most of the people think about growth as finite number. I grew my salary from this to that. I grew my company from this to that. But it starts from you. Like, it all, and it applies to everyone, whether, like, no matter the industry that you're in, no matter the position you're in. I think the growth always start from within, and that's why I think success starts from within. I don't know, now many gurus, they always talk about mindset. A mindset here, a mindset there, and how can you have the mindset and everything. And the reality is true. Like, it all comes down to the mindset, because the mindset really allows you to think about things in a different way. The unfortunate thing is, like, I'm saying this thing, but I'm not studying any course. So I'm just saying it out of real understanding of myself, and I think many people feel the same way. Let's hope that this piece of advice that will help them during their daily life.
Understood. Thanks for that. And what are your thoughts on retirement?
I honestly don't think about retirement that much, in the sense that I don't like the word retirement, because it implies that there's some sort of, how do you say, maybe deflection, since that there's like a growth over time, and then after a while it just goes down like a Gaussian curve. Like, you reach a tipping point, and then from there you go down. Where I wish my life looks like a linear growth. It's like, even if you're getting older, you're kind of getting better. The metric will not be the same, in the sense that you will definitely not be as healthy and as fit and when you were 20. Maybe you will have more money, maybe that. But I think your internal growth and your internal awareness and everything will grow over time. So, like, I would like that the trajectory, it's a linear growth, because at the end of my journey, which is life, I hope that I can really feel that I learn as much as I could. So, like, for me, this trajectory of retirement, it feels like you're growing, you're growing, you're growing, and then all of a sudden, like, you just need to relax. I think you can just do everything at the same time until the last day of your life. You can just learn as much as you can, whatever it is. So, yeah, maybe you don't have to work 15 hours in consulting for 100 years, but maybe you can learn 15 different things every day, for the rest of your life.
Yes, I understood what you say. And we are already part of a generation that's not going to retire. This is well known. I
Mm.
mean, as you mentioned before, right, in the traditional sense of the word retirement, because for us, retirement is something totally different. Retirement is more about do what you want to, when you want to, in the way you want to. That comes with a lot of freedom and absolutely responsibility.
Mhm.
However, it comes all together as well because we are one of the generations that are pretty much going to reach 100 without, I would say, much effort, like the generations before us. So, yes, we have plenty of time ahead of us. And as you said, and very well said, enjoy your journey.
Yeah, definitely, definitely enjoy your journey. Some days are tough. Some days you really, I don't know why, but your mind just sets in as a negative machine of like, and a negative thought leads to another negative thought, and it, but I was speaking to a friend of mine which reads a lot of book about motivation and how to achieve great things, etc., etc. And again, we're going back to the definition of cycles, in the sense that if you think a bad thing, it will lead to another bad thing, which will lead them to another bad thing, and you don't even remember what was the first bad thing that you thought. I think the key here is always try, when you have a bad thought, to then go back to the positive thought, and then go back to the loop of a positive thought. Because you can have bad thoughts, because everybody have bad thoughts, and there's many reasons for having them, but the important thing is to come back up and turn that bad thought into a good thought, because then will lead to another good thought, and then you're back in place.
Well said, Ricardo. Well said. And what advice would you give to someone started in your field?
My field will be the entrepreneurship one, and if you want to succeed, I mean, I haven't succeeded yet, and I don't think there is, again, a definition of success. Even if you sell your company, even it all turns out maybe to not be that fulfilling, that successful, you know. So it's all comes out, I think, to how you feel during the moment. So again, I really points out how you feel during the moment. So if you want to get into this, I think you need to have a lot of daily daily grit and daily determination, because most people say that you need to have passion about what you do, and it's true to start, but then everything comes out to the like substantial amount of effort that you put every day. And when you put all that effort, trust me that it doesn't feel like passion, it just feels like commitment. So I think it's very important to think about something that you wish to do every day for the rest of your life. And I don't think you should think about that in terms of what it is, but more about how that thing will make you feel. So I'm thinking more like, maybe you want to be, I don't know, a football player, because playing football is something that you like. But do you really want to maybe, again, play every day, traveling constantly far away from home? Maybe yes, but maybe no. So I think you really need to think about what that thing implies over time, because eventually, if you succeed, which is something that I wish to everyone, you will be there. So it's very important that you kind of project where you want to go, and if that projection turns out to be the right one for you, then go for it. But if you're thinking about doing something, because most of the time nowadays you have so many opportunities coming, like every 3 months, 6 months. Like 3 months ago was the integration of ChatGPT with other machine learning things, and now it's the AI agent. In 3 months will be, I don't know, something else, and you're constantly chasing these things, and most of the time you never reach them, because it doesn't take 3 months to get somewhere. It takes at least 1 year of your time, at least 1 year of your time, and a constant time to get to a point A to a point B. And since like the alphabet goes from A to Z, you get the metaphor about how long you need to work and how much commitment you need to have to get to A to Z.
Yes, nobody said it would be easy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ricardo, it was really, really good and amazing for me to learn from you and learn all of the things that you have passed through, and also your journey as an entrepreneur, and all of your sharing for the next generation and people that is listening to us today. And do you have final thoughts?
Thank you very much, Nate, for inviting me to your podcast. It's been an amazing experience. Thank you very much for the kind words at the beginning. They were very much appreciated. Sometimes as human beings, you're constantly thinking about bad things about yourself. You're constantly thinking you're not enough, and sometimes a kind word always lights up your day and really put you in a perspective of thinking great things for the future. So thank you very much for that. I think the last thing that I can just say it's that I'm super happy about what I'm trying to build, which is, as you mentioned at the beginning, a B2B marketplace for the paper industry. So basically, we try to digitalize this entire process of procurement and selling of reels and sheets of paper. It has been great so far in the sense that we launched 3 months ago, and in 3 months, we already achieved quite a lot. We're growing, and customers are more and more happy about the service, and they want to know more. They want to have new products. So if you're a supplier, if you're a buyer in the paper industries, just reach me out, or reach out to our email, which is info@serkios.com. And for any type of interest in our company, you can also visit our website, www.serkios.com. And again, we're trying to digitalize industry that it's very, very important for the world, I think, in the sense that paper comes from trees, and most of our packaging, when you're buying things, are made out of paper. With this digital transformation also implies sustainability transformation from plastic to paper. And the only way to do that is to have more transparent pricing, faster procurement, and then eventually also measure the amount of CO2 emitted during the process, etc., etc. So for whatever thing, I'm available. You can add me on LinkedIn, or you can text us on info@serkios.com, or just by looking at our website.